Students, happy and good morning to you all. Thank God for the new day. I pray that God's grace be upon us and keep us all safe and protected during these difficult times. Students, please take care of yourself and perfectly follow the instructions of your dear parents. Students, I greet and welcome you to the class in commercial applications. Stay focused and grasp the concepts with first class finals. Make sure that you write down the additional points which I stress and repeat for easy understanding and good performance. Students, you must utilize the previous learning to promote the new learning. Thank you. Thank you for being very brilliant and smart. Thank you. The learning objectives for today's session are as follows. We have moved on to a new fresh chapter on joint stock companies, chapter joint stock companies. Under that, we have seen only two concepts. The first one was the introduction of joint stock companies. The main points I'll summarize again for you. And the meaning of joint stock companies. These two we have finished, already learned, but I'll recall and recollect it for you. The next one could be definitions given by two important people, Professor Haney and Justice Lindley. So you're going to see the definitions of joint stock companies given by Professor Haney and Justice Lindley. The next one could be the features of joint stock companies, which is pretty lengthy, children. There are about 10 main points. Let me list out the 10 main points for you quickly, children. The first one, registered body, separate legal existence. Third is perpetual succession. Succession is nothing but continuity. Fourth is limited liability. Fifth one is transferability of shares. Sixth is common seal. Seven is separation of ownership and control. Eight is voluntary association. Nine is artificial legal person. And 10 is statutory regulation and control. So, and we will move on to this distinction between partnership firm and joint stock companies, children. There are 8 points. I made it very simple and easy for you. All that you have to do is you have to pick only 6 points from differences. And we'll take up the recapitulation by going through the review exercise once again, children. Please stay focused, children. Let me tell you. We are into joint stock companies. What is the main caption of joint stock companies, children? Men may come, men may go, but company goes on forever. Please repeat it for me. Men may come and men may go, but company goes on forever. I repeat, men may come, men may go, but company goes on forever. This is the main caption of joint stock companies. What is the meaning of stock, children? Stock is nothing but assets and profits put together. Joint stock companies. Students, we have learned that partnership originated in overcoming the limitations of sole proprietorship. What are the main limitations, children? Two major limitations were capital resources and managerial ability, etc. And then partnership had drawbacks, and to overcome the drawbacks of partnership firms, joint stock companies originated in overcoming the limitations of partnership firms. Joint stock companies are said to be free from most of the drawbacks, children, and the modern industrial commercial development has been mainly due to the growth of joint stock companies. So joint stock companies plays huge capital and adequate managerial ability. So what happens now? They have reduced the business risk through the principle of limited liability and contribute to the continued existence of businesses in the world. Today's business world is nothing but companies. What is the other word for companies? Joint stock companies. So you must understand this, children. Let me recall the introductory part for you. We have seen how the Industrial Revolution brought in the process of change from the agrarian handicraft economy to the machine manufacturing industries. Machine manufacturing industries were slowly becoming popular. And gradually, how the large-scale business led to the development of joint stock companies, which are the model industrial and commercial developments. Why, why they are so important? Because they reduce the business risks and losses. Joint stock companies reduces the business risks and losses. And we have also learned that there are two definitions which talks about the same. One definition given by Professor Haney, another one by Professor Justice Lindley. So let me go through the definitions once again for you children. Please stay focused. So we'll start today's class. We'll start with definitions of joint stock companies. Before that, children, quickly I'll remind you. Hope you all read the notes and textbook which I give you all. You must look up for the resources which I give you all. Make the concepts memorable, children. Please, children, utilize the previous learning to promote the new learning. I want you all to understand and perform your best consistently. Please create a study routine for commercial applications and block all distractions. So, you must be very brilliant and smart. Thank you. Thank you. So, we'll take up the first one, definitions of joint stock companies. There are two definitions given. One is according to Professor Haney, another one is according to Justice Chief Justice Lindley. So is a British man. So we'll take up the definitions, children. What do the definitions say? According to Professor Haney, so we take up the first definition. A joint stock company is an incorporated association, which is an artificial person. This artificial person is very important for you to know, children. In law, in legal terms, human person is called as natural or physical person, biological person. Non-human person is called as judicial person. The other word for judicial person is artificial person. So this is in the eyes of law. It is a Latin, in Latin there's a word called persona ficta. Persona ficta is nothing but artificial legal person. So when you register a company, it becomes an artificial legal person. There's a legal term. It's not an ordinary term. Artificial person created by law, having separate legal entity with perpetual succession. What is perpetual? Continuity, everlasting, never ending. Never ending is called as perpetual. Success and a common seal. Succession is nothing but continuity. So you got 4 points, children. It is a registered body. It is an artificial legal person created by law, having a separate legal entity and perpetual succession with a common seal. Seal is very important, children. So you must understand that if your certificates are not sealed, signed and sealed, it is of no value. So seal is very important. According to Justice Lindley, a company is a voluntary association of many persons who contribute money or money's worth to a common stock and employ it for common capital of the company. What is common stock? Stock is nothing but, as I told you, assets, profits, securities, shares, debentures, all put together. Property put together becomes the stock. So there's a common stock employed for as common capital of the company. So you can take stock as capital of the company. Without capital, you cannot run the company. Bandavala. These persons are members of, and shares are always transferable. What are the 4 points here, children? 4 or 5 points, I'll tell you. The first point is, according to Lindley, Justice Lindley, joint stock companies are voluntary associations. Persons who contribute money or money's worth to a common stock called as capital, and the members are called, the persons are called as members, shareholders, and shares are always transferable. So you must understand. Now these two definitions give us the features of joint stock companies. So what are the features of joint stock companies, children? I told you about 10 already. I've given you the 10 points. So let me list it out for you once again. The features, students. First is the registered body. Second is separate legal existence. Third is perpetual succession. Fourth is limited liability, which we'll go through. Fifth is transferability of shares. Sixth is common seal. Seventh is separation of ownership and control. Eighth is voluntary association. Ninth, artificial legal person. And 10 is nothing but statutory regulation and control. Let me take up the first one, children, quickly. First one, under the features of joint stock companies. The distinctive features of joint stock companies are as follows. The first one, registered body. Registered is nothing but, please, you must make a note, children, as I repeat the points. Registered body is nothing but incorporated body. Body is nothing but association. You must change. So what is the other word for body? Association. First is registered body. The first feature of joint stock company, it is a registered association, incorporated association. A company is registered with registrar of companies as per the procedure laid down in the Companies Act of 1956. In the earlier chapter, I told you about the registrar. Registrar is an advocate or a highly educated, knowledgeable person with some renowned capabilities who keep up the records of the companies, records of the government records and other records. Registrars, usually they are advocates like notary public and all. So registrar of companies as per the procedure laid down in the Companies Act of Indian Companies Act of 1956. For partnership, it was Partnership Act of 1932. But for joint stock company, it is 1956. The incorporation or registration grants an independent status to the company. The first one. Once you get registered, you become an independent business entity. Second one, separate legal existence. A registered company has a separate legal existence. What is existence, children? Entity. Entity means, you must know what is an entity. It is a separate body under the eyes of law. Legal. Separate legal existence. Because it is registered. It becomes legal now. A registered company has separate legal status from its members. Yes, we have seen that earlier. It is an artificial person. I told you what's an artificial person. It is a legal term. Judicial word, artificial person. having an independent existence. For example, the case of Solomon versus Solomon and Company in UK, 1897. I'm going to tell you that, children. Don't worry about it. I'll tell the summary of that case. Very important. It's a landmark case in UK company law. Please remember, children, it's a landmark case in UK company law. You must understand Solomon versus Solomon and Company. Solomon versus Solomon and Company, 1897. So you must know this. So separate legal existence is nothing but registered company enter into contracts, acquire and dispose properties. They can sue and be sued in its own name. What is suing? You can file a case against some kind of problems in the court of law, and you can also get sued because it's a legal term. So separate legal existence. The next under that is joint stock companies can buy, because they are separate legal entity. They can buy, sell, or own properties, assets in its own name, and can enter into contract with its members. So what happened now? There is separation of ownership from management also through the board of directors. Board of directors will separate the ownership from the, who are the owners? The shareholders mainly. And who are the management side? Board of directors. So you must separate shareholders from the board of directors. These are all highly skilled people. Now what happens here, children? That Solomon versus Solomon case I'm going to tell you. Please listen, pay attention. I tell you only the gist of that story, children, quickly. The idea of separate legal entity was originated in the case of Solomon versus Solomon and Company. This is a landmark case in UK, children, Britain. What happened, children? You must listen carefully. Company that has been incorporated by Solomon, Mr. Solomon, in which he and members of his family were the only shareholders. So, Mr. Solomon opened a company in which he and the members of the family were the only shareholders. The problem arises when the company's business turned into failure. So when the company was almost into liquidation time, winding up, dissolution, there was a problem because there was a failure. The company turned into a failure. Now what happened now? The value of assets were insufficient to pay out both Mr. Solomon and the companies and the other creditors. Creditors were waiting for their money to be returned to them, repaid to them. But there was a problem. The valuation of assets is done by a liquidator. You know that, children. I'll tell you that. So assets are very important. But the assets were insufficient to pay out the debts. There was a problem. The case went to the court. During the closing down, children, during the closing down of the company, the liquidator, I told you who's a liquidator. Liquidator is the person who will take care of the winding up dissolution of the company and settle all the assets and dues of the company. Liquidator, mainly they are advocates only. During the closing down of the company, children, the liquidator said that the debentures are nothing but loan certificates. Debentures used by Mr. Solomon as security for debts were invalid. So all that he had went invalid. Mr. Solomon was in great trouble. The court said that Mr. Solomon was liable for debts and creditors. So creditors were waiting to catch up Solomon and then get the money out of him. What happened at the end, children? Company was regarded as a legal person, separate from the directors, shareholders, employees, and agents. So this was the outcome of the case of Solomon versus Solomon. It's very important, children. Once you become a separate legal existence, gain that you must be very careful, because you must see that your case is settled well. That means when the company gets into dissolution, winding up, it should be done without any problem. You must settle it very carefully. Settle the creditors, settle all type of diabetes, and then come out of it smoothly. This is the case of Solomon versus Solomon. I hope you all understood, children. It's a landmark case in UK, Britain, under the company law. The third one is perpetual succession. What is continue? That is nothing but continued existence. What is existence, children? Please make a quick note. Existence is nothing but life of the company. Continued life of the company. I told you what is the caption of this joint stock company? Men may come, men may go, but the company goes on forever. So that is the thing. The company has perpetual, means everlasting, never ending. Perpetual existence, succession, as its existence is not affected in any way, such as death, insolvency, or exit of an. What is exit? That means, suppose suddenly a shareholder gets out, quits from the company. So it's called exit of any shareholder. Nothing happens to the company. The company continues and goes on forever. Company, here please make a note, children, company can never come to an end until it is formally dissolved under the company law. That you must keep in mind. It cannot come to an end just because of death, just because of insolvency or exit of any shareholder. A company comes to an end only when it is liquidated. What is liquidated, children? As I told you, can anybody remind them? Yes, you can. It's nothing but winding up of affairs, closing down of the company. Dissolution of the company, call it as liquidated. When it is liquidated according to provisions of Companies Act of 1956, members may come and go, but the company goes on until it is wound up. Wound up is nothing but coming to an end. So one more point you can add on, children. Members may change, but companies goes on. So I told you who is a liquidator. Liquidator is a person who will come forward to settle the assets of the company. One more point you can add on, children. Features of company. Even if all the members of the company were to die, please remember, even if all the members of the company were to die, it would not end the life of company, because company has separate legal existence from its members. So third one is over. What is the fourth one, children? Please remember and tell me. Limited liability. Limited liability reduces the chances of risk. That is the main point under joint stock companies. Limited liability. Responsibility. Limited responsibility. Very important, children. Limited liability is very important. Fourth one, because it is a principle where personal and please make a note, children, quickly write down, where the personal and private property of the members cannot be made liable for the debts of the company. Please make a note quickly, where the personal and private property of the members cannot be made liable for the debts of the company. Limited liability. Limit, limited liability. Liability of the members, responsibility, accountability of the members of a limited company is restricted to the face value of the shares purchased by them. What is face value, children? It's nothing but the price printed on something. We say that we bought tickets at a face value. So we know that, you all know. So we buy tickets, whatever the tickets, it can be on the face value. So it is, the liability is only restricted to the face value of the shares purchased by them. So this holds good for fully paid shares. Please write it down. This holds good for fully paid shares. Suppose I buy shares of 10 shares of 100 each. So if I pay the entire money for 10 shares, so 10 into 100 is 1000. So I pay 1000. That's called fully paid shares. What happens here? The personal property of the members of the company cannot be attached to satisfy the claims of the creditors of the company. Members are liable to pay the amount due to their shares only. So according to the shares, they're going to take up the responsibility, accountability. So what happens here, children? What is the meaning of amount due? Amount means unpaid on shares. So please write it down, children. The amount unpaid on shares is called as amount due. Suppose, children, I can tell you another example. Please listen. I hope you are listening. Suppose one share is rupees 10. I paid only 6, and rupees 4 is due on each share. That is called amount due. So out of 10 rupees each share, I paid only 6. Some people do like that, owing to some kind of difficulties. First they pay some part of the share, and others later they'll pay. So you're going to be very careful that members are liable to pay the amount due to their due on the shares only. What is due here? Now you should be very important. Now out of 10 rupees each share, 6 is paid, 4 is not paid. So what is due here? Rupees 4 is due on each share. So that is very important. Limited liability. They are accountable for what is due. Fifth one is transferability of shares. Now in the previous chapter, partnership firm, you have seen there was no transferability of shares, but here it is. The capital, also known as corporate finance, funds put together, stock put together, is divided into parts called shares. So how is shares made up of, children? How is capital made up of? With shares. People buy shares. As many people buy big, huge amount of shares, that amount of capital can be pulled in with fixed denominations each. Like I told you, each share is 10 rupees, each share is 1000. There are companies who can see that the shares are bought by a common man also. So they'll bring down the denomination of shares. The value of the shares can be also small for the common man to buy. The capital, also known as corporate finance, divided into parts called shares, which are transferable. The shareholders of public companies, you can say public companies. What are public companies, children? Please make a note. I'll tell you that also. Public companies are those companies where the ownership is organized through shares and capital. So When the ownership is organized to shares and capital, it is known as public companies. So, the shareholders of public companies are at full liberty, freedom to dispose of the shares to any person. They can transfer the shares, they can sell the shares, they can buy the shares according to their capacity. Now, what happens here? One more point. The members have ability to tap finance a market by selling the shares, stocks, bonds to raise capital. They can do anything. They are at liberty, freedom. Shares of a member can be sold. So what all they can do? Gifted or exchanged or inherited. They can pass on one share to the other. Next one is common seal. Seal is very important, children. Please make a note, children. Seal in company's term is nothing but a device. It is a kind of a system, a gadget, a machine, which serves as a company signature. That is why even when you go to office, our school office, the seals will be kept under lock and key. They'll not be kept out. Once you put the seal, it becomes a legal document. Anything, even you write something on the white paper, you put a seal of the school, it becomes valid. So be very careful in today's world. Company has its own symbol, seal. Even our school has got its own seal, you know that logo, which is affixed in all the important documents when it is attested by the board of directors. Who are board of directors? And nothing but people on the management side. And who are the owners? Shareholders. Documents issued by the company must bear a common seal. Without the common seal, you cannot take the company. Please make a note, children. Seal is used as an official signature for important documents of the company. Even in your sometimes even in your progress cards, which is printed and given computerized, they put the specimen seal. That is also valid. Seal is nothing but a symbol which is engraved and affixed. On my point, seal is formally adopted at first board meeting, children. They will come to a conclusion what type of logo they are required soon after registration. Seal is kept under custody of the secretary of the company. Very important, children. Like they keep the checkbooks and all kind of finance documents and all that under lock and key. Same way they must protect seal. Seal cannot be kept anyway. So next one is separation of ownership and control. The authority to manage the affairs is conferred to the directors. I told you who runs the business. It is the board of directors. They are managerial people, representatives of the members. Who are members here? You must understand this, children. They are board of directors. Directors are the hands of the brain of the company. So you must understand they are the hands and brain. So what is it? How important is our hands and brains of of a human body? You must understand. People without hands, they become handicapped. Without brains, they become mentally retarded. So both are very important. So directors become the hands and the brain of the company. So important they are. Why you know, children? I'll tell you once again. Please remember, day-to-day management of the company is entrusted to the board of directors elected among the members. So who are board of directors? These are the members, representatives elected by the members of the company. Who are the members? Shareholders. Members of the company have no direct control over the day-to-day activities of the company. Actually, shareholders cannot run the company. Only educated, highly qualified board of directors, managerial with managerial skills and ability can run the company. Here, one more point, children. Please make a note. I tell you, you must write this point. Here, what happens when children? Shareholders do not directly participate in the day-to-day management, but ultimate control is in the hands of board of directors. Please, I repeat once again. The shareholders do not directly participate in the day-to-day management, but ultimate control is in the hands of members called directors. So we have seen 7 points now, children. What are the main 7 points? Once again, can I tell you? The first one was registered company, separate legal existence, limited liability. Fifth one was transferability of shares. Sixth one, common seal. Seventh one is separation of ownership and control. So I think with this, children, I'll going to the time slot. I need to close down the session, children, quickly. I've been told that I should finish within certain time. I wish that every sunrise hold us more promise, and every sunset hold us healthy and safe. Let God's blessing be upon us. Let us stay safe, protected, and motivated, children. God bless us. Have a blessed day. Thank you. Thank you.